welcome to the Cinder video. And in part, this also applies to Emerald when you really think about it. And in general, what I want to highlight here is we're supposedly going to be getting a Cinder backstory soon because God help Kruby if they don't describe this annoying bitch soon. I mean, if they don't do it in Volume 8, they have to do it in Volume 9. It's not something they can let slip anymore. It's been 7 years and she's been here basically since the beginning. You gotta nail home what this woman's motivation is. Because she basically represents why the series is shit. When the villain that's been around the longest, we don't even freaking know why she's doing shit. But from the few lines that she lets loose in Volume 7, despite the fact that we're led to believe early on, through the infiltration, the so-called infiltration, she came from Haven, but then we discover that, Lionheart's working with them, so she doesn't necessarily have to come from Anima or Mistral. We just assumed that up till now. But now she's starting to talk shit about Elysians and, the rich, privileged people. And in all honesty, if you know anything about Rooster Teeth, is they love to shove politics into shit. They just can't help themselves. It's like, yeah, we stand for this. Let's thrust it into the friggin' show. I mean, they basically destroyed the fairness discrimination plot so they could have an election, and officially tying into this Cinder thing, it seems like they're more obsessed with telling the story of the poor versus the rich, because it's a theme that's happening in America. If you're backing Bernie Sanders, if you're rich, you're fucking evil, you deserve to be taxed, and we should give your money to the poor people. By the way, there's one problem with that theory. If you do that to rich people, where you just tax them a shit, but you don't tax the average person, and the average person can be well off, it doesn't mean they're poor. But if you do that, it means 10-15 years from now, no one wants to be rich. No one is like, I'm driven to become rich. Why? Because you get everything handed to you when you're average or poor. Why the hell would you want to become rich and then lose what you make? No one thinks of that. If you're gonna... Oh... Economies. Jesus Christ. Anyway, not going into that. If we're going back to Cinder, this whole thing about if they use Cinder as a platform to shit on the rich Elysians and being like, I will not be poor, I will not go hungry, I will not suffer. I'm sorry to say, it's not going to work. Already Emerald's story doesn't make sense, and this is what I need to hammer home to a lot of people. It's been my biggest fault with this show since very early on, even in the early volumes. You have to be self-conscious of your world building. What's ready to the people. That's what you gotta know. Whatever's in the world, whatever these people have access to, you gotta be aware of your own world building. If you take someone like Emerald, with her skill set, despite the fact that she lives on the street, the fact that she already owns weapons, guns, she's well versed in them, she's already unlocked her semblance, and as far as we can tell, it doesn't cost a dime to go to an academy. And if you stop for a second and realize, the academies, they're not bursting out heroes. If your picture of a huntsman or huntress is a hero, then you're an ignorant shit like Ruby. You're an idiot. Because they're not all heroes. It's said huntsmen go dark as well. They become assholes. Crow says it. Effectively, huntsmen and huntresses are mercenaries. They're guns for hire. You need something defended, you need a mission done, you hire them, you pay them when you come to terms on what's getting paid, and they do the mission for you if they choose to. There's really no self-righteousness in it. They're getting paid to kill. And with Emerald's skill set, she should not have been on the street. She could have easily chosen to go to an academy, graduate. She's got a terrific semblance that could fuck up Grim perception. And she's, from what we saw, especially at the end of Volume 2, she's a skilled fighter as well. So it's like, she could have been earning tons of money. And even if you don't consider that, given that we're told that places like Mistral have an underworld, we've seen like with Torchwick and that in Vale, every land has its own underworld, and the criminals are there making money. So it's just like, you don't really go hungry whether you choose to, oh, I'll become a huntress and I'll earn money, because that's a thing. And when you're attending the academy, they feed you, they clothe you, they give you a place to stay, everything's fucking provided. So you got that option to you. You can go into the underworld, become a friggin' mercenary. We've seen with Mercury, an assassin. All these things exist. You can make tons of money. And yet we got Emerald and Cinder's character, who, with a Cinder, it's an assumption where they're going with her character. With Emerald, it's guaranteed. And it's just moaning and bitching. I'm poor, I'm sad, I live on the street. And I'm like, you are two powerful women, well armed. It's like, I don't think Cinder being poor will justify her motivation for power. Because, in all honesty, and this is one thing I think any social justice warrior needs to get through your head, if you're poor, it's because you're poor. You choose to be poor. Don't go blaming other people for your situation. I've seen people on the streets turn their life around. I've known someone was with their family, then they're living on the streets. They went to fucking our university college. They graduated. They turned their life around. It's up to you to turn your friggin' life around. So, yeah, I don't understand why Emerald's on the streets. We don't see much into their friggin' backstory. And, while this is just highlighting, like, Cinder and Emerald, I don't think poverty is gonna cut it in terms... Because if they're just using, like, Atlas, or this is a platform, this is Trump, you know, fuck the rich, or Mantle's the victims, it's like... Oh, shit. Like, this is one prediction. If Mantle, if Atlas falls, because I am predicting that Salem will get the relic. I think she will. The baddies need a victory. Salem needs to obtain one relic. So I think Atlas will fall. But I'm just saying, if Mantle survives, I call bullshit. I honestly call bullshit at that point. Otherwise, the only plot twist I could see coming, and in all honesty, I don't think they're smart enough to write this, but it does fit Salem's character of manipulation. What if Salem destroys Atlas in getting the relic, but leaves like the civilians and all the human civilians of like Mantle and Atlas and whatever, leaves them alive, and is just like, she tells him, I spared you once I got the relic, basically what she wanted. She goes, I'm going to be going to Vacchio, cause you know, your secret society has locked away these things, they belong to me. She could, which is a lie, but she's like, You hand it over, you give it to me, I let you all live. But you hide it from me, and I'll kill you. She goes, I spared you. I'm willing to spare your lives. She could manipulate the Elysian to her side, basically, in this. By just being like, I'll spare you if you just give me what the fuck I want. I don't think it will go that way, and in all honesty, no, the more I think about it, I can actually see it going that way, because the next season takes place over 2 days, right? And look, you've heard it straight from like Miles and Carrie's mouth multiple times. Action scenes demand time. They require a lot of effort to do. It's not simple walk around animation that's easy to do. It's programmed into the systems that create walking animation. Action scenes take time. And despite the fact that we got a full-blown invasion between a military nation and a grim invasion of the head bad guy, Rooster Teeth just can't pull off a constant action scene for an entire volume, despite the fact that it's taking place over 2 days, which is 48 hours. By all technicality, by all logic, if it's taking place over 2 days, it should be one giant action scene, especially given the circumstances. But because Rooster Teeth as a studio is incapable of doing that, they gotta come up in their writing for some bullshit way to stop the action scenes and space them out. And if you're gonna do that, sparing the Elysians or the Mantle civilians, like, doing Salem doing her manipulation bullshit, is, in their eyes, a viable excuse. But if you're like me and some of my friends, the biggest problem with telling us that Salem's character is manipulation type is that there's no reason for her to be a manipulation type. She's fucking immortal. And even if you destroy her body, she respawns instantly. Like, there's no reason for someone of that power to be a behind-the-scenes manipulation type. She could literally walk into each city solo. But she can walk in with Grimm. It doesn't matter. Even if they destroy her body, she just respawns, gets up, blows everyone, because she's also got, whether she's still got her magic or if she's just got Grim magic, she just has a ton of power. So there's been no reason since the first season for Salem not to be up in everyone's face. And in all honesty, if this series had a brain, Silver Eyes are not going to be the thing to finish off Salem. But if I'm going to end this video at 15 minutes, and this is the real thing I'm actually really scared of, go back to Volume 6, Episode 3. God, the most stupidest thing that I think a lot of people don't realise, because of how the episode ended with him going, how do I defeat Salem? And she goes, you can't. Rewind it further back to when the god's sending Ozma's spirit back to Earth. The god never actually tells Ozma to defeat Salem. Not once does he say, you have to kill Salem, you have to defeat Salem. He never says any of it. He just says, bring humanity together as one. Unite them peacefully. Summon us, we will judge you, and if everything's good, we'll live among you again, and you most likely get the magic back. It's hinted at that, basically. At no point in the plan do they say, yeah, you have to kill Salem. So what does this mean, basically? It's pretty simple. Salem is going to be redeemed. She's going to be redeemed, and no offense, that's going to be a real piece of shit move. Because when you consider how many people she's killed, if she gets redeemed, And Adam's dead. I'm just saying, people. I'm just fucking saying. You, it's like if you watch Naruto, and during the war arc, when Obito gets redeemed, and then Madara gets redeemed, and you're just like, no. Obito should never have been redeemed. No, that was some bullshit. Fucking hell. Anyway, that's just how I'm leaving it. I'm just leaving it that I don't think Cinder's story should be around poverty, because in this world, getting money is not that hard. So if she was poor, it's because she sat in that situation like a pathetic bitch. It's that simple.